Hello everyone, this is Bill with Yarn Crafts for Lefties. Today we're going to be learning how to make the long tail cast on. The long tail cast on is probably my favorite cast on to use when a project doesn't require a specific type of cast on. Like the name implies, we're going to need a long tail in order to make it. So when we make our slip knot, we're going to leave ourselves a nice length of yarn. At the end of the video, I'll go over a couple of methods of how to figure out just how long of a tail you need to leave. What we will need to do next is set our hand up. I'm going to have it facing me. I'm going to take the working yarn, which is the yarn that leads to our skein or ball of yarn, and put that around my index finger. Then the tail I'm going to put around my thumb, so when I pivot my thumb out, it's wrapped around. Now to make this stitch, what we're going to do, or the cast on I should say, is bring the tip of our needle under, so that way we've looped the yarn around the tip. Now we're going to bring the working yarn around our needle, just as if we were making a knit stitch. Now we're going to bring the tip of the needle through the middle of the loop that's on our thumb, let that off of our thumb, and use our thumb to draw that yarn so that way it is now a loop that we've cast on. Pivot my thumb back up to reset. We're good to go. So under, around, through the middle, draw off. When we bring our thumb back up, we've reset. Under, around, through the middle, and off. Notice I'm keeping my motions the same every time. I'm going under the same way. I'm wrapping from front to back. I'm going through the middle, and then I am simply sliding that yarn. And I just keep repeating the same process. And after a while, it just becomes a very fluid motion, and you're able to cast your stitches on very, very quickly. Do that one more time for you slowly, so that way you have the steps, and then we'll go over how to figure out how much yarn you need. So, under, around, through the middle, draw. Now what this does, and there we go, it's in focus, is really create a row of stitches here. This is actually knit stitch down here, and when we turn it around, you can see on the back that we have a row of purl bumps. So it creates a first row of stitches, so it gives you something a little easier to work into. Now, how do you figure out how much yarn you need to cast on? There's a mathematical formula that's out there. The formula is 3 times the width of your project plus 10%. To put that into numbers that make more sense, we have, say, we're making a scarf and it is 10 inches wide. So we would take the 10, multiply it by 3, which gives us 30%, add another 10%, which is 3 inches. So now we have a total of 33 inches that we would need our tail to be, which is going to account for the stitching. And I would probably kick it up to 35 inches just to be safe, because I'd rather have a slightly longer tail than a shorter one. Another way is to take the yarn, grab your tail, and we're going to just loosely wrap 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 stitches. And we need this much yarn from here to here for 10 stitches. So then you can just take it and fold it. So now there's 20 stitches. And if we needed the 30 stitches for our cast on, this would roughly be it. I'd fold it one more time, as if I needed 40 stitches to account for my tail and any shortages that I may have created in my bends. Ultimately, it just takes practice. If sometimes you're going to end up with a really long tail at the end, which is what I prefer to have, I'd rather have a long tail than not enough when I'm casting on 150 stitches. So, hopefully you found this episode of Yarn Crafts for Lefties useful. This is Bill. Happy knitting!